Hello, you crazy rockers. Welcome to the channel where music history is not told with that deep, serious Discovery Channel documentary voice, but with sarcasm, jokes, and a bit of dusty 95 cassette nostalgia. Today we're talking about Guns N' Roses, the band that somehow managed the impossible, being the most loved, the most hated, and the most chaotic rock band in history at the same time. If rock and roll were an action movie, Guns N' Roses would be the Tarantino version. Blood, scandals, and a soundtrack that punches you straight in the face. And yes, if I had exactly 1 hour to explain to a group of aliens what rock and roll really is, I'd just play them Appetite for Destruction. I'd bet that right after that, they'd start pulling out their space guitars and jamming cover versions. So grab your leather jacket, give your neighbors an angry look, and let's dive into the story of the band that reinvented the phrase, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But enough warming up, let's get moving. Who would have thought that two almost unknown bands from Los Angeles, LA Guns and Hollywood Rose, would have a musical child together and name it Guns N' Roses? Now that is one creative divorce. In the beginning, the lineup was unstable, to put it nicely. In short, Axl Rose on vocals, Izzy Stradlin on guitar, plus a few guys who got replaced after 2 rehearsals and 1 argument. The original guitarist from LA Guns, for example, had a fight with Axl and basically said, "I'm out, good luck." Lucky for us, because that's when Slash showed up, with his legendary top hat and riffs that would change rock music forever. By 1985, the classic lineup was complete. Axl, Slash, Izzy, Duff McKagan, and Steven Adler. Guess what? This sounds like the Avengers of rock were assembled. The difference? They weren't saving the world, they were getting it drunk and making it dance on tables. The band started grinding through the clubs on the Sunset Strip, places like the Troubadour and the Roxy, basically venues where you either left drunk and happy, or you didn't leave at all. The crowd loved them, and in 1986 they signed with Geffen Records. That's when the real adventure began. 1 year later, the band released Appetite for Destruction. Spoiler alert, at first, nobody cared. The first single, It's So Easy, didn't impress anyone, and MTV wasn't exactly rushing to help. But David Geffen convinced MTV to play Welcome to the Jungle at 3 a.m. Guess what? Rock fans don't sleep at 3 a.m., so the song exploded. Then came 1988 and Sweet Child of Mine, a ballad so beautiful that even your grandmother would stop mixing cake batter and nod her head to Slash's solo. The song hit #1 on the Billboard charts, and overnight Guns N' Roses went from those guys who skipped school to the biggest rock sensation in America. Honestly, the early days of Guns N' Roses looked more like a soap opera than a classic success story. There were fights, lineup changes, and promises like, "This time, bro, the band is really gonna last." But that's the magic. From all that chaos came an energy the audience felt instantly. They were unpredictable, and in rock music, unpredictable means we're going to destroy the stage. We're just not sure if it'll be the guitar or a bandmate. And speaking of unpredictability, few people remember that Appetite for Destruction was initially considered a failure. Only after MTV finally embraced Welcome to the Jungle did the album start climbing the charts. Basically, Guns N' Roses were the musical meme of their era. Ignored at first, then suddenly viral once everyone got it. And once it exploded, there was no turning back. The band walked straight into rock history. Success brought problems. Because if there's a guaranteed way to destroy a band, it's giving them money, fame, and unlimited access to alcohol. In 1988, they released GNR Lies. Everyone was singing Patience, but One in a Million sparked massive controversy with accusations of racism, homophobia, and xenophobia. Axl responded with, "Wait a second, I was just being honest." You know you're in trouble when your explanations sound worse than the accusations. Meanwhile, drugs were everywhere. Every rehearsal was basically Russian roulette. Is Slash showing up today, or is he glued to the couch? Surprisingly, Axl was the only relatively clean member. At a concert in '89, he even said on stage that he wouldn't perform anymore unless certain members quit hearing. Not exactly a motivational speech, but it worked. For a while. The problem was Steven Adler, the drummer, who couldn't stay away from Mr. Brownstone. In 1990, he was fired, and Matt Sorum stepped in, much more disciplined, or at least sober enough to keep the beat. Around the same time, Dizzy Reed joined on keyboards, because obviously, when you're dealing with internal chaos, the best solution is adding another band member. Then came the peak. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 in 1991. Two albums that proved Guns N' Roses weren't just distortion and noise, but stadium-sized orchestral rock. November Rain and Estranged pushed rock music into opera territory. The music videos were basically short films, and fans couldn't get enough. The Use Your Illusion tour lasted almost 2.5 years, 194 concerts in 27 countries. If that sounds exhausting, it's because it was. Add fights, late shows, and Axl behaving like a Roman emperor with a microphone, and you get chaos. But the success? Absolutely massive. A defining moment came in 1992 at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert. Everyone expected them to get booed after the 1 in a Million scandal. Instead, Axl sang Bohemian Rhapsody alongside Elton John and delivered a legendary performance. The crowd forgave them, at least for a few minutes, and Slash, as expected, stole the show with a devastating solo. It was proof that no matter how controversial they were, once these guys picked up their instruments, the world forgot everything and just nodded to the beat. But chaos was always part of the package. Concerts started hours late because Axl decided to make his entrance only when he felt like it. In Argentina, the crowd almost set the stadium on fire out of frustration. Ironically, these scandals only fueled the myth. Guns N' Roses weren't just a band, they were a dangerous experience. And for fans, that danger was priceless. If you're enjoying this ride through distorted guitars, bad decisions, and rock and roll history, now's a great moment to hit that subscribe button because it costs nothing. It doesn't require a leather jacket, and it helps this channel keep telling music stories the way they're meant to be told, without filters, without corporate polish, and with just the right amount of sarcasm. And if you want to support the channel even more, check out the links in the description, where you'll find a Buy Us a Coffee Here option, along with affiliate products that actually help keep the lights on, the coffee strong, and the rock stories coming. So every click is basically a small backstage pass to everything you see here. After so much glory, the fall was inevitable. In 1993, they released The Spaghetti Incident, a covers album. The title was more interesting than the sales, and they didn't even tour for it. Then came the moment that broke the band apart, the cover of Sympathy for the Devil. Rumor has it that Axl allowed a friend to overdub guitar parts over Slash's solo without telling him. The result? Slash packed his bags in 1996. Duff and Matt Sorum followed soon after. At that point, Guns N' Roses was basically Axl plus whoever wanted to play with him. The years between 1998 and 2015 felt like a soap opera. The band changed lineups more often than people change internet providers. Guitarists with buckets on their heads, DJs with questionable names, the full circus. In 2008, after 15 years of promises, Chinese Democracy was finally released. Some loved it, others labeled it the biggest disappointment ever. I say it's like pineapple on pizza. Controversial, but it definitely has fans. And yet, the impossible happened. In 2016, Axl, Slash, and Duff reunited for the Not in This Lifetime tour. The irony? That's exactly what Axl had said years before. Not in this lifetime. Turns out, this lifetime is longer than he thought. The tour was a massive success and continues to this day, with a stable lineup and fans still screaming their lungs out to Paradise City. They even released new songs, Absurd and Hard School. Not on the level of Appetite for Destruction, but proof that the guys still have energy for riffs and a bit of chaos. For years, Guns N' Roses felt more like an urban legend than an active band. Everyone talked about Chinese democracy, but nobody believed it would ever be released. It was like a myth, on the same level as the Yeti or a civilization on Mars. When it finally came out in 2008, reactions were split. Some said, "Wow, genius." Others said, "I waited 15 years for this?" But it kept the flame alive and showed that Axl was stubborn enough to never give up. People paid insane ticket prices just to see Axl and Slash share a stage again. And surprisingly, the chemistry was still there. Fans cried, screamed, and felt once again that rock wasn't dead. Basically, the reunion was the rock equivalent of a dramatic soap opera reconciliation. We fought, we hated each other, but let's do some more shows and maybe make a few $1 million while we're at it. And that's how Guns N' Roses became both a rock and roll fairy tale and a PR disaster at the same time. But that's exactly what makes them legendary. Axl's voice, Slash's guitar, and their explosive energy redefined what it means to be a rock band. Personally, my musical life was heavily influenced by them, and I'm sure many of you felt the same. You put on Sweet Child of Mine and thought, yeah man, this is music. Life isn't perfect, but with a Slash solo in the background, it somehow feels more manageable. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and tell me in the comments what your favorite Guns N' Roses song is. In the description, you'll find links where you can support the channel and grab some cool merch. That's how you help this platform grow. Until next time, stay healthy, stay strong, and be kind.